Hello friend, welcome back to Airport CEO. My name is Tobal. This is going to be another lovely episode of Aircraft Airport Simulation. You know what? We're looking pretty good. We've got a couple of friends coming to visit us. We have a relatively busy general aviation side of our airport. Lots of pretty solid reputation amongst GA pilots. Overall, the airlines are relatively happy with us. There's some negatives. I think mostly because we don't even have any turnaround services whatsoever. So I am starting to research the jet fuel in case the planes that are showing up here on the small aircraft stands require jet fuel. So, and I think actually we have that finished up. So let's go ahead and drop down the small jet A1 depot. We're going to throw that pretty much in the same line of road that our other fuel depot's on. And I'm also going to go ahead and go into the vehicles section and look up fuel truck for jet fuel. So Fjord fuel truck for jet A1 fuel. We're going to buy 3 of those. Another 2,000. The Maverick fuel trucks would hold more gasoline or fuel of different types. That's no big deal. I don't think our... I don't even know if we need a small pushback truck. $50 per hour. Moving any medium aircraft from its parked position. Okay, we don't actually need the pushback. That's actually for the medium-sized aircraft. So we're not going to worry about that too much. I wonder if we could start researching turnaround services for small aircraft. Would that be a possibility? Take a look at how we're doing in hourly. We are making a decent amount of money, by the way. Graph can't be displayed on the day interval. Hard to see the hours because, let's see, 17... The numbers are... I think that everything's running together down here in the bottom, so a little hard to see. Time interval. Yeah, everything is like a hot mess down here. I'm not sure what happened with the scale, but they've got that part messed up just a bit. So it looks like we're not quite making enough to be solvent yet, but that might be because it's the middle of the night and there are no commercial flights, leaving or taking off. We are sitting over $1 million, and it's hard to do the numbers because we did get $1 million in a reward or a bonus from last episode. So that was because we completed tutorial number 2. It does give us a little bit of leeway, and we can start to experiment a little bit with expanding our airport. And we'll talk about, in this episode, we'll talk about how we're going to design the new terminal and what kind of features we're going to use. So this is going to be our first day of using the auto planner. So we have a completely full schedule of aircraft coming in. I am glad they're staggered a bit. And I think because we did the initial bout of planning, from here on out, they're going to kind of take, the auto planner is going to kind of use what we established as the medium to in terms of like spacing our flights out. So I'm okay with that. I think that's going to give us enough space. Hang on, do we have any flights arriving at the exact... I don't know. I think we're okay with 4 check-in desks, hopefully. If we really need to, we could completely trash the bathroom and make it a much smaller bathroom and use this extra space for more check-in desks. So we definitely could make it work if we need to. There's a ton of people here waiting to check in. That's something good to know, too. I didn't realize that people will get here before check-in even will bother starting. Let's see. Check-in opens at 3 a.m. in just a few minutes. That's fair. There's not a ton of people waiting. There's actually not that many people standing. Only one person's waiting around. Why aren't you using the bathroom? It's right here. It's literally 3 feet from you. And you just don't want to use the restroom. That's fine. Whatever floats your boat, my friend. Whatever floats your boat. So we have a couple of aircraft coming in. I think we actually have our avgas that's going to get filled up here. Hang on. Where's my, shouldn't we have an avgas, or sorry, a jet fuel contract? I'm confused. We have this. Depot is not awaiting supply. Closed depot. But why isn't it getting refilled? That is the question. Turn it off and on again. That's always important. There we go. Depot is awaiting incoming resupply. I think because we had it turned off in terms of services, it was like, well, you don't need the fuel because you're not providing that as a service. So by turning that on, hopefully, that's going to enable the service coming up. Okay, there comes the truck for the refueling. So this will be interesting. Maybe this is what they need. The commercial flights need to be a little bit happier with us. Hey, let's check out research real quick. We have finished up floor construction permit, which is lovely. Hey, let's look at, do we have enough space for shops here? We really don't. The road is kind of in the way. I mean, we could extend the terminal back this way and have some kind of... I just don't care. I don't care about, you know, gussying up this terminal quite as much. We also could use a basement. We could totally add a basement in here. But for the moment, let's do the KISS approach. We'll keep it simple, stupid, and make sure that I don't break anything. Also, we'll go ahead and throw a couple more janitors at the problem of people apparently making nests. It looks like a nest. It doesn't look like trash. It looks like somebody's building a nest in our area here. Wow, we have a lot of extra staff members, including construction workers. What did I have them doing? I think they added, yeah, they added the A1 stuff. Okay, fair enough. So everyone's relatively happy there. I guess we'll speed things up. Oh, here comes our first flight. Okay, they are... Oh, shit. Now they're requesting baggage. Oh, we're not really prepped for baggage, though. We really aren't ready for baggage stuff at all. That shouldn't even be a service, though. Why are you wanting this? I don't have a baggage system. Oh, poop. At least we're going to be able to give them fuel this time around. I just don't think we're going to be able to do anything when it comes to baggage, though. We don't have the... we just don't have the... What would you call that? The space for it, right? We don't have the layout. We could smush it in here. But I think I'll take the hit in terms of happiness. They're still relatively pretty happy with us, all things considered. This should start going up, too, because we are providing fuel refueling services. There we go. So we are, in fact, providing Jet A1 fuel. And that is what they need. Lovely. We have a person here at all the... I think we do. There is a ramp agent doing all whatever the ramp agent does. Parking the aircraft, putting the tire stops in, making sure they don't roll back. All of our vehicles are getting refueled. Lovely. Yeah, I think we're doing pretty good here. Not too shabby. Not too shabby at all. We're going to queue up the extended commercial license research for a minute here. Let's go ahead and remove some people from this project and put them into this. This is going to open up, I think, a larger air traffic control tower, but also things like cabin cleaning, catering, de-icing, and a subway too, which could be fun if we start designing our medium airport. So I'm going to see how that works out. Everyone's relatively happy. I'm really digging it so far. We are also in the green. If we take a look at how we've been doing today so far, we've made $80,000. It's only 9 a.m. and we've already made $80,000. So huge change there. Our operation cost looks like it's relatively low compared to how it was. So here, let's talk about our new terminal at some point. So what I'm thinking is eventually we're going to expand into this section here. We're going to put down one single medium runway that's going to be something like this. From that, we're going to be using the medium stop, or the medium aircraft stands, the parking here. So you can see it's basically twice as big as the current stand is. And it would still kind of sit right up against the terminal. In terms of how I want to lay the terminal out, that's kind of a hard one. Because we don't have a ton of space. And it looks like it's a huge amount of space, but when you start to... You know, when you start to include the taxiway down from the runway, the space the runway takes up, how big the medium stands are, because you can actually see this. The medium stands are relatively big. I think we might be able to fit about 4 of these medium stands in. And the style of terminal, let me show you real quick. And this is, most airport I think would have this. Say we have our main terminal, not to scale, right? So you've got one wide terminal, and then you've got a bunch of sections jutting out like this. So I'm sure you've seen those types of terminals before. And then you've got an aircraft parked here, 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 and then on the other side as well. That's roughly the style that I think we're going to go for initially. Because it's relatively simple. We should be able to start using the kind of multi-story stuff too. So maybe... Well, I don't know how we want to do it. I know we want people to load onto the aircraft from the second floor. Maybe the first floor, I guess, could just be used as shopping. Maybe it could be used for restrooms. And then the basement, we'll basically build 3 levels of a terminal. The basement will be for staff. It'll be for luggage handling. It can be for staff break rooms, stuff like that. So hopefully we'll give ourselves enough space to really experiment with the different medium-sized terminal. But from here, though, like at this part of the game, this is the painful part of most simulation games. It's letting the game just run and not spending money. The only thing I do want to add, because we're almost actually full with parking. I will go ahead and add the last few small parking spots right here so that we can continue to make our general aviation folks super happy. Also, because we do have a CFO, we can go into our fee section and bump up the fee just a little bit. We're going to bump it up the small aircraft usage cost, the stand parking fee, and the small, or I guess the jet fuel fee. We're going to bump all of those up just a smidge. That way, and you know what, we're going to bump up our prices just $1 or $2. Since everyone is so happy with us, why not bump up the price to make a little bit more money? So, shouldn't really hurt the ratings overall. It will tank them if you go too high. But if you see there, it went from like 95 down to 85, but our average is still insanely high. So I don't think it's really going to harm us in the long run. We'll make a little bit more money. Everyone's going to be happy. How the airlines think we do? This is actually a little bit better too. We're now up to 62%. We're still not quite providing all of the turnaround services that they would like. However, by and large, they're relatively happy. So I'm going to let the simulation run for a bit. And probably, I guess once we're closer to $2 million, I'm going to talk about expanding into the next zone and starting to build our new terminal. Okay, so I've let the game run for a little bit, and let's talk about where we can kind of trim up some of the fat, because we're kind of hovering right around 1 million, which means we're pretty close to just being in the green, but we're not really making the money that I was hoping for. So there's a couple things we can do. One of those things would be to enable nighttime flights, which is something we would have to research. In terms of the economy, let's go back over to our hourly view. So, let's look at the daily. I suppose the daily is a little bit easier to take a look at. Yesterday we spent money on construction, which was to add those new parking spaces for the aircraft. We're paying $8,000 in operating costs. The salaries aren't all that expensive. I did go ahead and let a couple folks go. So we had some extra janitors. Just generally, if we're looking during the middle of the day, when the aircraft in the airport in theory is its busiest, and if we see a bunch of people sitting here in the staff room not working, probably we're a little bit overstaffed. But I've trimmed that down a bit. We have just enough ramp agents, I hope, to get everyone serviced. We could bump the fees up. I actually went back and lowered them down because immediately I saw that we no longer quite had as many aircraft in the airport, the general aviation airport, or that side of the airport at least. So maybe I did something there that triggered them a little bit. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see if we can improve that at all. But once the day gets going, I'm going to see how many of our friends here are sitting around not doing anything, especially once we have all 5 aircraft in their parking spaces. So you guys still want turnaround services, you want fuel, which we have been providing, so you're still relatively happy. We actually do have I would say, a pretty decent rating overall. The only thing they're a little bit grumpy about is the fact that we're not really, I don't know, is this too expensive? Improve by lowering the cost. They think we're a little bit too expensive in the jet fuel. So what is the jet fuel cost right now? We're charging $0.5 per liter. I think the company is charging us like 0.3. That's really tight. I guess if they're really unhappy about it, we can go ahead and drop this down to a 0.4 just to make our friends happy. There we go. People are paying quite a lot of money for avgas, which is kind of convenient. What else could we possibly do? I think I have sent home all the contractors. Lots of ramp agents not doing much. So I guess the ramp agents, maybe they're only needed initially for that first little bit of parking. So why don't we go ahead and let go 2 of our ramp agents. Again, just trying to trim our roles just a bit, right? Because we want to just save money wherever we can. Maybe 1 more janitor. You are a service technician. The couple service technicians aren't doing anything. A couple janitors. So maybe a service technician and a janitor as well. The CFO or the executives are unfortunately rather expensive, but you kind of need them in order to do the automatic scheduling. So it's a little bit hard to get rid of those guys without feeling the hurt a bit. We still don't have too many issues in terms of delays, but I would like to see at the end of the day where we stand on our overall income. You know, what I just realized is actually that we almost have a plane landing every moment a plane clears the runway, it almost is like another plane will land. There's a little bit of a gap right there. But for like the last hour I've been watching our arrivals, it's almost been every time there's an opening, there's a plane that's landing. So I really think at a certain point, we're just going to hit the capacity of how many planes can land on one runway. So maybe we're there, maybe, you know, having a couple extra spaces isn't going to hurt, but, you know, our turnaround time for these small aircraft is so quick that really there's no other thing we can do to improve it. Like, this is about the capacity of our little fancy airport. There could be, and this is something I did see, there is a possibility of using boarding ramps. I don't know, maybe that wouldn't work. We could put another boarding gate and try to board over here on the far pad. And I have seen there's a technology here. If we go over to the research screen, there is something called remote stand service. And what this does is it would let you have people kind of get on a bus and then get shuttled over to their, you know, their commercial flight area. I don't really think it's going to work for us, but at least it's something to keep in mind for the future. What I do want to look into, however, is night flights, because if we open up night flights, we have about 5 flights worth of capacity during the middle of the night. So if we open this all up, we would be able to fill 5 flights and probably squeeze out just a little bit more money from the commercial side of the house. So I'm okay with giving that a shot. Meanwhile, let's take a look at our employee room. Why are there so many people just not doing anything? I guess no more check-ins. Maybe we don't quite need, because they do rotate between check-in and then boarding. So everyone's already checked in. We don't necessarily need more folks checking in. Now we need folks over at the boarding desk, but I think we need at least 5 at all times. I think we're relatively okay there. Okay, so it looks like we just completed our project. That would be the night flights, I'm pretty sure. There we go. So now we can negotiate the rights to accept flights during nighttime. So the time just switched over, so I don't think we have room for it there. Crap, do we not have... We don't have any flights able to move over here, huh? What about if we try to manually do it ourselves? That's for that. I think it's because we've got auto planner on. If we take this off temporarily, we could fit something in. Maybe it's just that our auto planner quite hasn't updated everything yet. We'll let the auto planner try to... Oh, there it goes. It just triggered 5 more flights. Okay, so we have 1 flight over capacity. And then we're like booked up 25 out of 25. Okay, fair enough. So I think we're going to be able to actually fit 25 flights per day, which is the capacity of our lovely... Where the heck is our... Over here somewhere? There it is. Our air traffic control tower. Which, like, I don't even think it's facing the right way. Yeah, probably not. That's fine. Who needs an air traffic control tower anyways? We're not really making a ton of money, though. We're pretty much just staying right on par. $140,000. Not that much. 73,000 are going to operations. 21 is corporate taxes, which is kind of interesting. Just, you know, as your income goes up, you're going to be paying more and more in taxes. But we are making a decent amount off of both the runway usage fees and also, I think, the passenger fees as well. Passengers are kind of cheap. Passenger handling fees, $6,800. So it's really all about the runway usage and the parking, I think. But either way, we are slowly but surely making our way towards financial independence and freedom. I would love to just, you know, I mean, we can do it right now. We can go ahead and unlock this section. The problem is we're really not going to be able to do much with it until much later, because it is very, very expensive if we start dropping down a terminal. Like, we're talking about $315,000 to put down the terminal that we want to put down. We could at least start theory crafting, right? So if we wanted to, say, put down this medium runway, we're probably going to throw it somewhere like right here. Maybe facing this way so that our planes aren't landing on top of other planes that are taxiing around. Not that it matters, but you know what? The FAA maybe might not appreciate that too much. So we're going to have 1 runway. I will probably not do the dual runway here, because we're not going to have the traffic. Hello, a service vehicle can't reach their designated job site. Which vehicle might that be? Because I don't actually... Maybe it actually just was a real temporary thing. I don't see any issues there, do I? I don't think so. Maybe it might have just gotten a wee bit bugged there. Okay, I think we're all right. So, yeah, we're going to have a runway here, a single runway. with one taxiway. And we're going to try to smush as much stuff as possible near the border. Although, you know what? Instead of starting so far away, I could put our terminal right here and have everything as close as I can to this section, which might be important for our service vehicles. That could save us a lot of money not having to build a road all the way down here. So why don't we start it here instead? Same runway, one taxiway, and then we start putting parking areas along here. The terminal itself would be somewhere, the first little section of terminal will be here, where you're going to basically be dropping off your passengers, picking up your friends. Now the question becomes how to deal with this multiple floor thing. Because we actually could separate the arrivals and the departures. Yeah, I guess it's drop off and pick up, right? So we could have a ramp going down and thus say, hey, you're going to be dropping off people in this area. They're going to go up 2 flights of, escalators or something and then go into security. That's a possibility. In order to save on some traffic space. That could be something we want to do. Again, it's going to cost a lot of money though. So if we want to start experimenting with the medium-sized aircraft and the medium, kind of like the medium contracts, we may not want to do all the fancy stuff right away. We might want to try the basic bare bone stuff first. Alright, so it has been a hot minute here. I've let the game run. We are actually into autumn, so the ground has changed. You're not losing your mind. We're kind of just trudging along. It's really not hand over fist money, but at the same time, it's not necessarily all that bad either. So we're making a pretty decent amount. I'm trying to see if there's any way to trim up any extra little bits, but really, we're trying to cut down the operations cost under the research screen. So we do have, what are we at right now? We're at 23% reduced upkeep costs. Now, if we go to group 2, these are actually a different set of passive things. So it's not going to be another upkeep cost reduction available to us, and we can't keep adding more. I think it's a maximum of 5 per, you can only assign 5 people per project. So we're pretty much reducing the cost as much as possible. I don't think it's really feasible to use the reduce the salary cost that much, because by and large salaries aren't really killing us that much. We actually might hurt more than harm if we hire 5 more administrators to try to reduce the salary overhead. So not a big deal there. We are doing about 25 flights per day, so we are pretty much trying to squeeze in every single bit of available space. By and large, I think we literally are getting, as soon as there's an availability in the runway, someone is landing. So the only way to get more people parking here would be to add another runway. Now that is possible. We could actually add a second runway. We could actually add a runway that's both arrivals and departures. I'm just nervous about doing that because I kind of feel like it's going to completely overload our system. We've got a pretty decent balance. The cost of opening another runway would probably, I don't know, but that's a lot of open parking spots that might be able to be filled though. So I'm kind of torn. It could be a temporary runway just to make a little bit more money, but we are making a decent amount. It's just a matter of leaving the game running for a bit. So it really comes down to how much money or how much are we going to invest in this new upcoming terminal. Now we could take a loan to help us out. There are loans available to you. So 430,000, 1.4 million would be kind of nice. However, it's going to be $4,000 per hour. And if we take a look at how much we're making hourly, that's probably going to hurt quite a bit. Yeah, 12,000 right now, 7,000 is our average over the last 24 hours. I don't know, maybe we could squeeze in a massive $1.2 million loan right here, especially if it's going to wind up bringing us quite a bit of money. Hang on, that might be feasible. Let's take a look. We are sitting at 600,000. 1.4 million would bring us up to about 2 million. That is definitely enough to place down a runway and get the basics of a terminal going. Ooh, I like it. I kind of like this idea. It's a little risky. However, if we get the new terminal up and running and everything in place, we should start making that money back. In theory, we are going to be incurring some brand new operating cost penalties, right? Because we are going to be opening up new runways, new terminals, stuff like that. We are going to have to kill our old terminal because I don't believe the game functions properly with 2 separate terminals. So we will be going to full GA over here again, like we were before we started everything. So I'm not entirely sure. I'll tell you what we're going to do. Let's do this. Let's take the loan out because without great risk, my friends, we don't get to experience any fun. So there is our lovely loan. Oh, did it just jump up? Hang on, did we get a credit boost here? The loan just bounced up again. Oh God, how much was that? That's going to be a 6,000 hourly cost. That's okay. That's $2 million. We are now at 2.6 million. I think we can make this work. So let's design. We're not going to really do much other than just play around with the design of our new airport. So we're going to throw down the medium runway is relatively close to the top of the map to give us enough vertical space to work with. We'll also throw down an exit. I think we have to use the reversed exit like this. We'll put down an entrance. Right at the end, I will go ahead and bring the taxiway down just a smidge and then connect them. 5x5. Nothing fancy here. This is going to be a very simple taxiway. Now, I do like starting near this side of the map because we're going to have a lot of our vehicle services here. And we have a lot of space, especially if we leave ourselves some space. We're going to have space for more turnaround services. We can have space for employee parking. So I think I'm going to leave a pretty big gap between this area and our first little bit of medium parking. So let's look at, and I like that we've got enough money to kind of test some stuff out. So let's throw down a couple of medium parking things. And by medium parking things, I mean like this. So we have to do it, leave a little bit of a gap. How do I want to do this? Let's kind of just experiment with this right here. So this would be 4 medium parking stands. We would be able to fit our service vehicles across the top. So we would be able to kind of come in here, do something like this. We are leaving ourselves enough space for the taxiway. And I will probably keep it at 5 wide for funsies, like that. Okay. This would pretty much be the terminal. God, I love that we have this much money that I can just kind of experiment and build some stuff. This would be 400,000. Let's go ahead and extend it all the way down. Now, the width of the terminal, this is a question because we want to have 4 medium stands on one side and 4 medium stands on the other. Now, these stands are going to hold medium aircraft that roughly hold about 80 or so people. So if we take these chairs or these benches into consideration, let's do 20, 40, 60. We should be able to seat plenty of people here like this, just with 2 rows of benches. That leaves a lot of space open in the middle. So in theory, we could probably do this double that width and service both sides. So this was by 6, I think, and I'll in my head, I think I'm talking this out more than I am out loud. Let's do something by 12. So this is our alpha terminal. I don't know, whatever it happens to be terminal. This would be a cool couple million just to get it going. Oh, I'm so excited about all the money we have right now. Holy crap. We're going to have the jetway stands pushed right up against the building like this. And that would be our first section of terminal, right? Our people would kind of walk down the center. Now, remember we talked about the verticality thing, the different Z levels. This first level, the ground level, could be used for security. It could be used for our employees only. And above this, what we would have to do is actually drag out a second terminal about the same size in order to use that upstairs version of it, which is what this is going to be a little bit expensive. So I think what we're going to do is plan for the bottom floor first and then maybe go up to the second floor. Because that's a lot of extra money just to use a second floor. But we could use the jetway, which is cool. There's definitely a fun little cool factor there. I think what we'll wind up doing, though, because we have the space, is we'll use the first floor, and to give you a sense of how this is going to look, we would have something like this. We're going to have some seating in the middle. I stopped screwing some stuff up. We'll put seating right here. Plenty of enough seating for like 20, 40, 60, 80, 120. Even shared between all these different flights, I think we're going to have enough seating, especially if we go back one more notch. This is definitely more seating that we would need in all these different areas. So this should take care of everyone. That's a little bit off center, but that's fine. We can redesign it and mess around. We could even put some centralized buildings in here, like a bathroom right in the middle of our walkway. We could have a couple of shops in the center. Instead of having them, what you might see in a traditional terminal is, right between here. This might be where the bathroom is. So instead, I don't know, we could put the bathroom right in the dead center. We can experiment with that, but generally this should be wide enough to support 4 on each side medium aircraft parking areas. Then the question becomes, how do we want to get our arrivals and kind of where people are coming in and out? So the rest of the terminal, and we actually almost have enough. It's a little tight on space. It's really, really tight because I'm thinking about how how people will arrive, and I'd almost like to fit in some parking here. So let's put this in here just to kind of measure some space. So this is kind of a one-way road-ish, and this would wind up coming up. And probably the earliest it could turn in if we put a dedicated bus line here. Yeah, this is going to be really, really tight. Here, there's a sidewalk in between. And so this is pretty much going to be the way I'm envisioning how we're dropping people off. That's really close to everything. So if we could, now we could bump everything forward a bit. Everything could get a little bit tighter up here. So we could instead bump everything up by roughly 5 or so. That would free up a little bit more space, give us a little bit more room to drop people off. And the other thing I was thinking about was utilizing the basement for doing check-ins. Remember we talked about drop-offs and pickups. We could try to do something where we send a tunnel downstairs. Let's see, road tunnel. I've never done this before, so I'm actually kind of curious of how this works. So there's a road tunnel going down. So in theory, we would have our road coming underneath. Now this actually might free up some options for us. We've got a huge amount of space here. People can come around, drop people off. The people who are getting dropped off can go in here, they can check in, they can go through security, and then they can come up through a secure escalator right into the main part of the terminal, and then walk whichever way they need to go to get to their flight. Meanwhile, anyone who's leaving can basically just go through a secure exit straight out of the terminal into the pickup area. That could be an option. It's not exactly the most elegant solution, but in terms of the available money we have versus, what we want to accomplish, it might be the best thing to do. Okay, I'm going to delete everything because this was mostly just planning. And we're going to come back to this next episode with some fresh ideas in mind. I'm really excited, though. I am excited about kind of expanding into our medium airport. We have a lot of money right now. We hopefully will not go broke because I have a crap ton of money in loans. This is by 5, right? This is roughly how tight we want to make this runway. I don't really want to smush anything else higher than that, but I think we can make this work, my friends. Hey, thanks so much for joining me for this episode. There's a lot of cuts that I have to throw in here because there's a lot of gaps between content. So if this video is a bit short, my apologies, but otherwise I will see you again in the next episode. We're going to talk about our new terminal design. Oof, it's going to be interesting. I really do want to move to that second story terminal, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that early on. So we will experiment. We shall have fun with it. Until next time, my friends, thanks for joining me so much. Be well.